from this initial scene that you're looking at here at Linkwood and North Brazewood in the Southwest Houston, South Loop area. All of this, though, as you heard Dominique say, is a very busy area. And you heard her, she described it well, talking about what these members of the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force do. They track down the violent of the most violent, the worst of the worst criminals, oftentimes totally dangerous criminals that members of police oftentimes cannot track down. Maybe they have so many cases they're working on. Sheriff's office cannot track down. The Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force, they track down these suspects, these criminals, serve arrest warrants, and take them into custody. And unfortunately, I've covered so many of these incidents quite often where when we're talking about officer-involved shootings, where an officer specifically is shot, oftentimes it's in the middle of something like this, where an arrest warrant is carried out to try to take a very dangerous criminal into custody, and they're doing their job, which is incredibly dangerous, and sometimes they're shot. At this point, that officer who's carrying out that search warrant, along with, I'm sure, his comrades, his co-workers, his partner, as far as a condition, still unclear at this point. But the vehicle, this SUV, this pickup truck that you see here on the left side of your screen, where the camera is right now, it's hard for you to see it, but the window of this door that is open, there's a bullet hole in that window. That's what I could see from our photographer there on scene. That's what Dominique Keith was able to see. She's there. She's right across the street from this as well. And this is actually technically in this plaza. This happened right in front of, as I'm looking at this video further, this happened right in front of the Dollar Tree, right here at this busy shopping plaza at 610 South and Stella Link. So very busy area any time of day, but especially as you heard Dominique say there, around 11:30, when people are headed to lunchtime, people are leaving work. Maybe they're leaving the medical center, which is not far away, coming to this area to handle some business. Maybe they work in the Galleria area, Brazewood area, any area like that, Bel Air area, and they came to this plaza potentially to handle some business. Very busy area. So remarkable at this point that we have not heard that no one else potentially was injured. But imagine how scary this is for other people who potentially they just happened to be walking maybe out of the Dollar Tree. Maybe they were walking out of that discount tire that is nearby. Potentially they were leaving maybe the dentist's office that is also in that plaza, because there are several other businesses in that plaza. And then they heard those gunshots or gunshot, and they saw this massive response from law enforcement. Think about how scary this has to be potentially if you were in this area and you saw this happen. And maybe you saw something, maybe you heard something. Reach out to police if you did. Maybe you saw the suspect. As you see here, police chopper also circling the area. All hands are on deck right now as police try to track down this suspect, try to get some more information, try to potentially get an eye on this suspect, or track down the suspect's tracks where he or she last was, and try to get a hold of this investigation and try to find this person who was responsible for injuring this member of the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force. Perhaps we can go back live to the scene and we can see if more people have gathered there, because at first we were talking maybe about one or two officers. Excuse me, not the scene. Forgive me, the hospital. Let's go back to the hospital if we can. A live look there potentially. Okay, we don't have a look there. Forgive me. The last look that we could see, there were several members of multiple different agencies responding to this all at the same time at the hospital, and we could continue to see that number grow there at the hospital as they all gathered to support this member of law enforcement. Uh, Unclear, and I want to continue to specify, we don't have it confirmed right now, the suspect or the officer's condition at this point. Uh, let's take you live to an interview that we're getting with someone on the ground.
Hopefully, God willing, he did, But I don't. They shipped him off to Ben Pop. So
how upsetting is that for you?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Like, I don't normally see that stuff over here.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Thank you so much. Do you want to share your first name?
Benjamin Newman.
Benjamin?
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Yes.
And then Newman. Thank you. Thank you, Benjamin. Nice to meet you. God bless you.
Yeah, God bless.
Thank you.
Hard to, since we caught the tail end of that interview, but it looks like someone who potentially is at the gas station, which is right across the street, essentially kind of like adjacent to where this shopping plaza is. So you can see all the other businesses, the auto supply shop, and I believe you're looking right here at what is a discount tire right here across the street from that. So all of these businesses are right here nearby in this area, right across from each other. All of this when this happened. I've actually stopped at that discount tire and got my tire repaired there not long ago, and I can tell you just how busy that is because I've been over there uh, patronizing a business there not long ago, and this happened right in the middle of the day as well when I was over there. So very very busy there any time of day, very busy, especially on a weekday, on a Wednesday, 11 o'clock on a weekday. Now, as I'm pulling up a map here just to get my bearing straight again, when we were told that suspect was last seen at about Stella Link, excuse me, Linkwood and North Braeswood, that is not far from the scene, maybe a few blocks away from where this happened, uh, a bit east or so from where all of this is right now. And yeah, this is not far from where this scene is, from where the breaking news scene is. So the last we were told, this suspect was probably about 4 or 5 blocks away, last seen 4 or 5 blocks away at Linkwood and Stella Link, seen with blue Nike hoodie and locks, dreadlocks as well. Not far from this scene that you're looking at right here on your screen at 610 and Stella Link, where investigators continue to process this scene and try to put the pieces together. Let's bring you up to speed here. I want to run you back all of the information that we have at this point. Let's start from the very beginning. All of this happened around 11:30. We're told an officer was executing an arrest warrant here at 610 South Loop area and Stella Link Avenue, Stella Link Road, excuse me, when the suspect who the officers were trying to take into custody, the officers from the Violent Offenders Task Force, the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force, fired shots at an officer, hitting that officer. That officer was taken to the hospital, Bentab Hospital, condition unknown at this point, and that suspect that fired the shots then ran off at this point. This last suspect information description that we have at this point is the suspect has dreads, was seen wearing a blue Nike hoodie, and was seen running in the area of Linkwood and North Braeswood, which is about 4 or 5 blocks away from the initial breaking news scene. As far as what we've seen in the past hour and a half since then, we have seen a woman who arrived there to the hospital in a Brazoria County SUV, Sheriff's Office SUV, walked into the hospital with other members of law enforcement. Here is that video yet again for you, just to walk you through just how impactful this is to family members, to loved ones, when something like this happens. This woman you see here, visibly upset, visibly shaken, walked in with other members of law enforcement from the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office, walked in together, and you can see she is very emotional at the time uh, as they walk her in to obviously check on this officer's status and condition. We have seen the mayor of Houston, John Whitmire, arrive on scene as well to support in this. Here he is getting out of a vehicle and walking into Bentop Hospital. And then we've seen Houston Police Chief Noe Diaz as well. Here he is walking in as well, offering his support as this investigation continues. That is the latest information we have right now. The suspect's still on the run at this point, and this investigation has been ongoing for the past 2 hours. This happened around 11:30, and here we are now, going on over 2 hours at about 1:48 p.m. When we first learned about this, this was in the middle of our noon newscast when this first happened, and you continue to see as you look live here now at the scene. If you squint just a bit, look right here at this window of this door that is open, you can kind of see where that bullet hole is right there in that tinted window right there. right under where that umbrella is being held, right there. That is what we have been seeing, is a small bullet hole in the window of this SUV, this brown Ford pickup truck. That is what we have seen. Whose vehicle this is unclear at this point. This likely could be the suspect's vehicle. I would imagine likely the suspect's vehicle, but obviously that information will likely come out as we await a press conference that, from my understanding, will be at Bentab here as we all await for more information. Yep, our crew at the hospital was told that HPD specifically will hold a press conference sometime this afternoon. I was shared that information here probably about 30 minutes or so ago. So, okay, that press conference is likely going to be happening here very soon. So we'll continue to stand by um, as we await to get more information from HPD, likely from Houston Mayor John Whitmire and other members of law enforcement to walk us through the latest information that we have right now. Let's take you live to another interview from our Dominic Keith.
Hi, Delon. We're going to interview a shop owner. Tell me what you saw, what you heard.
So I was across the street dropping off of a car, and then we heard some gunshots. And then we looked over, saw one guy on the floor. I think it was the cop that got shot. And then the other guy was running across the street. He went behind Discount Tire and University Lawn Mowing right there, and he disappeared in the parking lot. That's basically all we saw. And I think he ran that way, but then the whole streets got shut down. We couldn't see anything. We don't know what else happened, But I did see him running across, and I think he got shot too because he was walking with a limp.
He was limping, the government.
And then after he left, all the cops arrived, all the drones arrived. They shut down the roads, and now they're doing their search,
What kind of description can you describe what he looked
African
like?
American, had a gray jacket on, black beanie, and blue jeans, maybe in his 40s or something. He wasn't young. And he was running with a limp. So I was like, it can't be him. He's limping, but I guess maybe he got shot. I don't know. I don't want to give wrong information.
And this is very unusual for this area.
Oh, yeah, we don't see stuff like that, never ever a shooting like this or a killing or this amount of cops, never ever before.
How did you first know something was going on?
I heard it.
You heard the
Yeah, I
gunshot.
heard it, and I was, like I said, across the street, looked over, we saw the cop behind the car with his gun, and they were yelling, and then the guy started running. That's all we saw. It was too fast.
So after the gunshots, the officers were yelling commands to him for him
I
to
think
put
he was
down his weapon
on the
and stop.
walkie-talkie asking for backup, and he was running, telling him to stop. I guess the other cop was busy with the police officer on the ground, and he got away. But I don't think he's gonna get too far. Yeah.
And the other officers were administering CPR to the officer who was shot.
And there was luckily there was an ambulance at Discount Tire that drove right across the street when it happened. So I think they did CPR for a while and then took him to the hospital. I think in Bentab. I saw it on the news already. Bentab Hospital.
Describe how disturbing this is for you.
It's really disturbing. It's really bad. Like, we're over here at work and people are here. There's a lot of kids at the Dollar Tree and then boom, out of nowhere, gunshots and stuff. It's really bad. But what can we do? Thank God for everything. It's God's plan.
What is your prayer right now for the officer who was shot?
May God send him back to his family in one piece and hopefully he recovers. That's all we can do is just pray for him,
Did it seem serious? Did it seem very that the
Yeah.
officers were on high alert immediately when this happened?
Yeah, it was just like the movies. Yeah, it's crazy. Very serious. The police are very high alert. Like you see in front of you, over 50 cars here. Yeah. It was bad, but like I say, God's plan. You just gotta hopefully the cop comes out of it, safe and sound to his family. That's all we can do.
Were they in uniform? Describe why you hope this guy is caught.
Because we don't need people like this in the street, like period. Shooting and killing and all that. You have to be behind bars, of course, That's basically
I
it.
was just asking, were they in uniform, the police officers?
They were like not full uniform. They had the khaki pants, they had the vest on with police on it, etc. But they didn't have the full, blue and blue or black uniform on.
And how many gunshots, sir, did you say you heard?
5 to 6.
5 to 6
Yeah.
5 to 6 gunshots.
Yes.
And that was just on one side, or you said
It was quick. It was like boom, 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 like real quickly. And like I said, I was at Discount behind my car, and we just looked over and we saw everything that was going on. It was far away, And they're inside right now trying to get access to my cameras. I was telling her, and I have no like idea if he went that way or went this way. So we're checking the cameras to see. And
To see if your camera's caught anything.
yeah, and if we do find anything, you guys are welcome to come back and check and see if you need anything. But my cameras are not the best, but let's see what they find.
Okay, so I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank
for-
you. I appreciate you
Yeah,
guys.
sorry,
Thank
this happened.
What is your name? I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Faisal Artema.
Could you spell that, please, sir?
Faisal.
Okay, you have been listening in there, and we've actually gotten some breaking news confirmed into our newsroom. Unfortunately, I hate to have to report this. We have learned that the officer at the center of all of this, who was serving this arrest warrant, we've learned was shot in the head and unfortunately died while serving this arrest warrant at about 11:30. This was a task officer, which then makes sense while we saw that Brazoria County cruiser pull into the hospital there. This was an officer that was assigned actually out of Brazoria County and was initially a Brazoria County deputy, because many of these when we're talking about the task force, the Violent Offenders Task Force, many of these are actually members of law enforcement from multiple different agencies who all work in conjunction in this task force. Unfortunately, this is why this woman is visibly distraught. We've learned that her loved one was shot and killed around 11:30 this afternoon in Southwest Houston. Unfortunately, shot once, shot in the head while executing an arrest warrant, trying to take a very dangerous criminal, very dangerous individual into custody. We are standing by awaiting a press conference. But you were listening in there as our Dominique Keefe interviewed a man who was working at a auto supply and an auto repair shop right across the street from this. And he heard the gunshots. He heard when all of this happened. He described all of this. He said he heard it when it happened. He looked out. He saw the officer on the ground there. And then he saw what he believed to be the suspect running away from the scene, running behind your look. This is the Discount Tire, running behind this Discount Tire. The Discount Tire and then this plaza, they are right across the street from each other. And he was saying he saw the suspect run behind the Discount Tire, which is actually west of the Dollar Tree there. So likely this suspect then ran west toward what would be technically 610, essentially the western part of 610, and ran away from the scene. And he also said he believed that the suspect was limping at the time. We've gotten a couple of different conflicting reports as far as the suspect description. That man you just heard from working there in the shop, he said that again he saw the suspect limping, described the suspect as a black male with a gray beanie, limping from the scene at the time, and again ran what would be west after all of this went down. Um, that is the latest information, the newest information we have right now, as we imagine a press conference will be starting here in the next likely maybe 3 to 4 minutes live there from Ben Taub. Our anchor Anthony Antoine is there on scene. He'll be walking us through some information as well as soon as we get it. Um, that press conference, I'm hearing from my producer here, is scheduled to start at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. So here in the next 2 to 3 minutes, we likely should be getting some more information from officers there on scene, from HPD. As you saw, the mayor there arrive on scene and the police chief arrive on scene as well. But unfortunately, I hate to have to report this. We have learned that the male officer that was working this, walking through, carrying out this arrest warrant, was unfortunately shot in the head and died there and arrived to Ben Taub Hospital, unfortunately passing away from his injuries there. This really it goes to show you how such a dangerous job these members of the Violent Offenders Task Force have when they're trying to carry out something like this, an arrest warrant, track down a suspect who obviously is an incredibly dangerous suspect. These are the most, as you heard Domily say there in her report, these are oftentimes some of the most dangerous and criminals that you really can track down quite often. And this is their job, to find these individuals, track them down, and arrest them. It sounds like they found this suspect, tried to take this suspect into custody, but unfortunately, the suspect fired shots, killing the officer there on scene. So that is the latest information we have right now. And I imagine more information will be coming here in the next 90 seconds or so as we stand by for this press conference. Live look again. Excuse me, not live look, but this is more video from the scene there as we await to get more information from investigators, and as this continues to be processed and walking us through all of this. Uh, this has been ongoing. We've been on this. I finished the noon newscast at about 12:30 and came right in here and continued covering this. So we've been on since about 12:30. This happened at about 11:30, and we've been walking you through as all of this as all of this information continues to come into our newsroom, and we should be getting more information here in the next few minutes. Let's take you live back to Bentop Hospital, where we are standing by to be briefed from HPD. Let's go live to anchor Anthony Antoine. He's live on scene there at Bentop with the latest information. Very tragic scene that we have there. Excuse me. Okay, Anthony, you're there live in the studio with more information. Anthony.
Yes. Anthony, hello. Yes, we're right outside of Bentop Hospital. I hope you all can hear me right now. Right outside of Bentop Hospital, where we're told that this officer was brought. You know, this is a scene that we've seen a few times, sadly, here in Houston. It's one that happens when a tragedy like this happens. A lot of law enforcement personnel, city officials. We saw the city mayor, John Whitmire, show up. We saw the Houston Police Chief, Noe Diaz, pull up as well. We have many officials here on scene and many Brazoria County officials. I know that this was a Brazoria County deputy who was shot today, serving a warrant on the Violent Offenders Task Force for the Gulf Coast. And this is something that is, you know, sadly, a big concern. It's something that can happen when these officers go out to serve warrants like this. It looks like our public information officer for Houston Police is coming up, and it seems the officials will be approaching to give a press conference now. I can see Houston Mayor John Whitmire walking up. We have Houston Police Chief Noe Diaz, several other officials walking with them now, coming to give us more information on this. We know that this was a shooting that happened today near 610 and Stella Link Road. We've been giving you coverage wall to wall online on our digital platforms as to exactly what happened. And as our officials approach, I will go ahead and let them take over for this press conference.
We're live, Mayor. We're live.
This afternoon, we lost a local hero and Deputy Sheriff Vargas from Brazoria County Sheriff's Office, working a U.S. Marshal Task Force, attempted to apprehend a repeat violent offender here on the streets of Houston, and he lost his life. The suspect shot him as he approached to serve the warrant. We'll hear from the Sheriff of Brazoria County what a dedicated law enforcement first responder he was. So I want to thank the Sheriff, his officers. HPD is on the scene, has perimeters established, and will not go home until they apprehend this repeat violent offender, which demonstrates how important our law enforcement is, not only in Houston, but in our region. We work collaboratively. We come together. District Attorney Tier's office is present, will be involved, holding the suspect accountable. And it's just a sad day that we have to come together to deal once again with the violence in our community by repeat violent offenders. So at this time, I'll yield to the sheriff. Thank you, Sheriff. I know your department's grieving. Houstonians will keep this family in our prayers. I've visited with Mrs. Vargas. They have 3 children. They're devastated, and it shows the dedication and commitment of our first responders. Sheriff.
Today is an awful and tragic day for the community, for our county, for our for Eddie Vargas's family, for Mr. Vargas's family, as well as the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office. Mr. Vargas was a 17-year veteran with the department and served very dedicatedly. Houston PD is now assisting with the investigation, and we will let them turn over them. But I want to assure you that he will be apprehended. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Diaz to mention the investigation.
Thank you, Sheriff Stallman. Noe Diaz, DIAZ, Chief of Police, City of Houston. To echo what the good mayor said, that it's a tragic day in our community. It's a sad day because a true crime fighter out here doing the Lord's work lost his life trying to make this community safe. I want to thank the sheriff for his cooperation, the mayor for coming out caring enough to visit with us, and I can assure the community that every resource of the Houston Police Department is going to work around the clock until we get this person in custody. At the scene now, we have 2 components of the investigation. We have the homicide component of the investigation, as well as a manhunt. So we have a perimeter. We've got officers from every department helping. We have DPS helicopters flying in weather like this. This is serious to our community, to the law enforcement community. So I want to thank the community. And if you hear or see anything, please contact the police department. We are working tirelessly. We've got a team right now putting their lives on the line to try to catch this guy's already shot a police officer. So thank you to the community. Thank you for allowing us to serve in this capacity. And I rest assured that this bad guy will be brought to justice. Thank you.
Sheriff, can you talk about anything about Vargas you had about, you said he served, you knew him, right?
Yeah. So Deputy Vargas, along with his partner, were attempting to serve a warrant today in Houston, and at that point is whenever he received gunfire from the suspect that he was attempting to apprehend.
Can you talk to us about Deputy Vargas' person and his service to Brazoria County?
Yeah.
Just the wider community?
Yeah, very, very dedicated servant to Brazoria County. As I said, he was a member of the Sheriff's Office for 17 years, has three beautiful children and a lovely wife that obviously supports him too. And they are, as you can imagine, grieving, mourning at this time. I would ask that we all send our prayers and our condolences to the family. That's what we're doing as a department and as a community in Brazoria County.
Can you say anything more about the suspect?
I will turn that over to Chief Diaz, but I do believe that they will be releasing information on the suspect.
I referenced that the DA working in collaboration with this investigation, this search, is already doing great work on doing the background check on the suspect. So I'll yield to, do you have any information you'd like to yield at this time, or it's an ongoing investigation? You want to wait?
Sure, I can just say that it is an ongoing investigation. We have prosecutors on the scene. We also have prosecutors in the office writing search warrants, giving every resource that we have to support the Houston Police Department as we work this case. As soon as they are ready to present their investigation to us, we will be ready to review the case and accept the appropriate charges. I will leave it to Houston Police Department to release any information about the suspect when they feel that they are ready and that's the appropriate time to do so. But rest assured that they are doing everything they can out there to make sure that the community stays safe while they apprehend this suspect.
Sorry, Chief.
Yes, sir.
What does the public need to know? Right now, this suspect is obviously violent. He's obviously proven to be deadly. What does the public need to know as this manhunt continues right now?
Well, just make sure that you're aware of your surroundings. If you see something, please say something. It's in the 9300 block of Stella Link, which is Stella Link and 610 Loop. So again, there's a heavy police presence. You can't miss it. So right now we are canvassing. We are using canines on the ground. We're looking for video. So the whole process of the investigation is underway. So we'll make sure that this person is brought to justice. But as far as the community know that we have enough police officers at the scene on location to make sure that this guy's brought to justice.
And just to be clear, Chief, we're not releasing the name yet of the suspect.
As soon as we are through here, the suspect's name will be released by the Houston Police Department media folks.
And I also want to clear up whenever I first spoke, I was speaking with his brother Eddie Vargas, but Jesus Jesse Vargas is my deputy's name, just to be clear.
And could you tell us what this warrant was for that he was being served today?
Mayor,
Aggravated assault. And he does have a record. Spent time in TDC. So we will soon learn that he's a repeat violent offender. That's why this task force was pursuing him out of the U.S. Marshal's office, and it's an operation that includes our surrounding county partners, and just so happens they had followed him into the city of Houston, Stella Link, and they saw an opportunity to move on him. And the reason these folks are so violent, they're repeat violent offenders with a warrant, and they know that they're going to be held accountable, and they are the most dangerous suspects that law enforcement and the public has to come in contact with them. We must do something about getting the repeat violent offenders. When you watch the evening news, those individuals that repeatedly hold up convenience stores and do violent acts, it's a number of individuals that are going to court, getting bonds, not being held accountable, not being taken to court, that we're faced with today. And that's where Mr. Vargas was doing his dedicated work. And some of the suspects are just committed not to go back to jail, court, and be held accountable. And they're the most dangerous that we as citizens have to encounter. So it's good that the DA's office is here, ready to pick up the baton and run with it. And now we're going to ask the courts to hold this individual accountable. But first, let's keep in our thoughts the HPD officers that are putting their lives on the line. These are terrible conditions to be out pursuing a dangerous suspect. They're going door to door. They've got the streets barricaded, and our thoughts need to be with HPD officers. And we have, as you know, one of the finest police departments in the country. And so we'll be leaving here to support the first responders that are out there on the scene as I talk.
Chief Diaz, can you share if there are any other suspects or anyone in custody at this point connected to this?
I will share there's no other suspect in custody.
Any persons of interest in custody?
No one is in custody at this time other than the suspect that's on the run.
And lastly, will we do a blue alert for the state to kind of heighten things?
So that's being worked on. Our partners at DPS are working through that information, and they'll soon release a blue alert as well.
And Chief, was there a weapon recovered, or is this suspect armed?
We believe the suspect is armed. I can't answer that there was no weapon recovered at the scene. So it's still a work in progress. There's a lot of manpower trying to bring this guy to justice. So I want to just thank the men and women of the Houston Police Department who are out there doing the hard work. As the mayor said, its conditions aren't ideal, but our canine units, everything that we have, every resource that we have is available and is working through this process to make sure that this gets solved quickly.
All right, we'll take one more question. Chief, what do you want to tell us, Mayor? What do you want to tell the citizens right now? I know you want to false alarm anybody, but what do you want to tell our citizens?
No,
right
be conscious of your surroundings. Cooperate with law enforcement. HPD is the lead investigation with the DPS. So notify. Don't try to take any action on your own. Protect yourself. But we want everybody to know that all hands on deck. Every agency in our region and even state resources here pursuing this suspect, and he will be found and arrested and held accountable. So I just want Houstonians to realize that our first responders are doing their job. They trained for this. They're placing their lives on the line as we talk, and have Deputy Sheriff Vargas' family in our prayers. Three children, beautiful family, and he gave his life to protect us. So let's go to work. Thank y'all.
Let's take two questions in Spanish for the chief.
Yes.
Two questions in Spanish for the chief.
Si puede dar el balance general, el estatus actual de la búsqueda de este responsable y qué fue lo que ocurrió.
Sí, claro. Le quiero agradecer al sheriff de condado de Brazoria, a Bo Stallman y a la
All right, you just heard from several individuals there, including Mayor John Whitmire, bringing us the tragic details here. We just learned that a Brazoria County deputy by the name of Jesus Jesse Vargas, a 17-year veteran with a wife and 3 kids, was shot in the head here today. And we are going back out to the scene now with our Abigail Dye to bring us with Donnelly Keith, who will be giving us some more details. Donnelly.
Yeah, Anthony, that tragic shooting happened just after 11:30 this morning here on Stella Link, just off the 610 loop. And I'm going to step out of the way for a second. It happened in that parking lot right here across the street. It's a Dollar Tree parking lot. Not sure if you can see that brown pickup truck there, but the Brazoria County Sheriff's Deputy, Jesus Vargas, he was working for the U.S. Marshals Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force, and he was attempting to serve a high-risk arrest warrant. When he approached the driver of that brown pickup truck, that's when we're told it was he and his partner approached that brown pickup truck, and we're told the fugitive opened fire on the deputy, shooting Deputy Vargas in the head. Immediately, backup was called. We're told from several witnesses that there was an ambulance that was right across the street, and paramedics rushed over in just a matter of seconds. And even before the paramedics arrived, we're told law enforcement officers were giving CPR to Deputy Vargas, trying to save his life. And that's when the paramedics came from right across the street. And if we could pan over, we can see right here on Stella Link that there is a lot of police activity here. This road is shut down. There's sort of a SWAT vehicle that's going by right now with the Houston Police Department as law enforcement officers continue to remain here on the scene. But after Deputy Vargas was shot, paramedics rushed from right across the street. They came over, immediately began administering CPR. They put him in the ambulance and rushed him to Bentop Hospital. But unfortunately, Deputy Vargas did not make it. Now, the search for the gunman has been on since then, and you can see the determination on the faces of law officers out here. They are determined to find this gunman who shot and killed Deputy Vargas. There are state troopers here. There are deputy constables from every constable office in the area. There are Houston police officers here, Harris County Sheriff's deputies, and they are on this scene trying to find as much information about this gunman as they can. They're also saturating this area, trying to get that gunman back in custody after he shot and killed a Brazoria County Sheriff's deputy this morning as the deputy was trying to serve a high-risk warrant. Anthony?
Some tragic details unfolding here. And Donnelly, we can even see here, watching some video of helicopters in the air. And the HPD chief mentioned that DPS will be having that helicopter flying even in bad weather. So when you talk about the effort here by law enforcement, they're doing every single thing they can. Can we talk a little bit more about the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force? Give the folks at home an idea of the type of individuals these officers are trying to apprehend.
You know, Anthony, the U.S. Marshals Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force, it's right there in the name of the task force. They go after the worst of the worst. Whenever a law enforcement agency in Texas, in the area, whenever they're looking for someone and they're trying to apprehend someone, they want to get a fugitive in custody and they haven't been able to, it's the Violent Offenders Task Force that goes after that person. They find out everything they can about that person. As you can see, this is not here at the fugitive's home. This is here out in the open, just in a store parking lot. They found out everything they can about that person, and they look high and low for that individual. They don't leave any stone unturned until they find that individual. And oftentimes, hundreds of times, probably thousands of times, they find the fugitive and arrest them. But unfortunately, in this case, they approached a very violent offender, and that man shot and killed a Brazoria County deputy this morning as they tried to serve that arrest warrant on that fugitive. And Anthony, you are right. They're searching on the ground and by air. They are determined to find this man, and they are looking high and low for that the gunman who shot and killed the Brazoria County deputy this morning.
Dominique Keith, thank you so much. We're going to step away from you from just 1 second here. My producer just letting us know now, I do believe we have an image. This is the first time at 2:19 here this afternoon, we are seeing the man, I should say the suspect, who is believed to have shot this Brazoria County deputy, killing him here today. This is the first image we've seen of the suspect who they were trying to serve with this warrant here in the parking lot earlier today. And we now know this is the person. We haven't received a name yet from law enforcement, but this is a really good image. You can see a blue pair of jeans, a navy dark blue shirt with the word Nike on the front there, and could be the gray color. He has on a beanie hat as well with a bit of facial hair. So we are going to, okay, here we go. I just got word his name is Robert Lee Davis, AKA Christopher Davis. Okay, we just got word here. You're looking at Robert Lee Davis, also goes by Christopher Davis. He is believed to be the man who shot and killed Deputy Jesus Jesse Vargas, a 17-year veteran of the Brazoria County Sheriff's Department, who was a part of the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force, looking to serve him a warrant here today alongside his partner in a was shot and killed. This is a look at Ben Taub Hospital, where a press conference just wrapped moments ago, where we heard from Mayor John Whitmire, along with the HPD Police Chief Jay Noe Diaz, the Brazoria County Sheriff, Bo Stallman, and several others, giving us an idea of what's taking place. Inside of that hospital, you have a family grieving. Like I mentioned, Deputy Vargas has a wife and 3 kids. A wife and 3 kids mourning the loss of their father here, who the mayor called a local hero. We're going to continue to follow that. We have Abigail Dye over at Ben Taub Hospital. And if you're familiar with the Houston area, I can remember sitting in this very seat, even talking about another press conference at Ben Taub when we learned about the passing of Deputy Maher Husseini. So as the law enforcement community as a whole is processing not only the crime scene and working as fast as possible to get information out, they're also processing the death of one of their own. So here we are again at Ben Taub, where we have seen today several people go inside of that hospital, including a woman. We saw a woman very emotional. This is the moment we're talking about right here, when she's escorted inside of the hospital, surrounded by sheriff's deputies and other members of law enforcement. She is visibly shaken and slowly walks inside of the hospital. That moment says it all. Again, the deputy was a 17-year veteran. This is another look at the scene. You can see here Bel Air Police, just one of many agencies that are working together. Now, if you're wondering, a blue alert is typically sent out whenever we have a situation like this. This video right here is that brown pickup truck that was in question here. You can see the bullet hole in this looks to be the passenger side window here, the bullet hole with that brown truck, which is the primary focus of the investigation. A blue alert is typically sent out, and that is when there's an active manhunt, which there is right now. There's an active manhunt for the suspect, and you can expect that here momentarily. In that press conference, they mentioned that they're working towards getting that blue alert sent out. So if you're not watching here today or right now in this very moment, you're going to get an alert here on your phone in regards to that blue alert. So that's in the process. We also know the DA's office is there on the scene as well. Prosecutors are at the hospital as well as in the office working through the necessary paperwork, because we now again have Robert Lee Davis. Robert Lee Davis, who also goes by Christopher Davis, is the suspect. We showed you a picture moments ago. So now we have a suspect name and an ID. You can bet your bottom dollar the DA's office is working to get those necessary warrants and documents sent out. And as I'm speaking here at 2:23, I can see on my phone as well, here at the desk, the blue alert being sent out for Houston, Texas. The suspect is Robert Davis III, aka, Sean Davis, and he is wanted for violence against a law enforcement officer. Robert Davis III is a 56-year-old black male, last seen wearing blue Nike hoodie and jeans, last seen in the area of the 9300 block of Stella Link Road. Call Houston Police with information at 713-308-3600. We have Fox 26's Jonathan Mejia at the search scene, bringing us some updates here. Jonathan.
That's right, Anthony. As you were mentioning that blue alert, we just received that on our phones here, alerting us to the suspect that has been identified in this officer-involved shooting. It's a tragic situation for Mr. Vargas and his family, the entire city, and the department. But right here, now you're going to see several law enforcement agencies here on Latma Drive in Silver Spring Lane. This is where we've seen authorities, along with their canines, actively searching for that suspect. We heard from a resident that lives in this area that she noticed some unusual activity in her shed, and this is what prompted so many law enforcement to come here on this street. We were out here, we saw multiple canines, we saw officers with their arms drawn, actively searching in and out of the backyards of this home. The presence has died down ever since we've gotten here, but we know this is still an active investigation, and they're still actively searching for the suspect who was involved in this officer-involved shooting. This is what I can tell you. I've been able to see Pearland Police, Houston Police. I've been able to see EPA state troopers here on the ground. We just see how these several law enforcement agencies are coming together to actively search and find this suspect.
All right, Jonathan Mejia, thank you so much. We have a homicide investigation and a manhunt taking place here at this hour at 2:25. Earlier today, unfortunately, we got word that Deputy Jesus Jesse Vargas, a 17-year veteran with the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office, he and his partner, who are both part of the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force, they were serving a warrant for that man right there on your screen, Robert Lee Davis, who also goes by Sean Davis. He is a violent repeat offender. Here's a second image of him. This is what he was wearing here today. This is the most recent image from today. This was also sent out as part of that blue alert. He is the suspect wanted right now in this active manhunt. Listen, if you are watching this and if you are in any of these areas where we mentioned here today where the investigation may be taking place, or if you see anything suspicious, please pick up the phone and call law enforcement. The mayor making it very clear today, you want to be aware of your surroundings, and if you see something, say something. This is a very important investigation taking place, and they would like to get this man off of the street. We have certainly seen that he is a violent person. We will continue to update you guys as much as possible as we continue to follow this tragic news here today. We'll be keeping certainly Deputy Vargas and his family in our thoughts and prayers. He leaves behind a wife and 3 kids. Follow along by downloading Fox Local on your smart TV or your smartphone, or stay connected to us as well at fox26houston.com. See you later.